Welcome to the news update on AFRICUNIA television, reaching you from the nation's commercial capital, Lagos, Nigeria. I am Deborah Ezeh. Many thanks for joining me. We begin from Nigeria. 2 bodies have been recovered while others are trapped in the rubble of a 7-story building which collapsed in the early hours of yesterday at Palace Estate, Oba Abiodun Oniru Road in the Iru, Victoria Highland, Lagos State. The collapsed building also fell on another building. The Lagos State Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, Idris Okonla Salako, yesterday said the state government would investigate reasons contractor of the collapsed building broke the seal of the site thrice, threatening the men of the Lagos State Building Control Agency, and continued the building after it was sealed on February 18, 2021. Salako, who refused to disclose the name of the developer, said, "We have a developer who is hostile and who contravenes the law of the Lagos State Urban and Regional Planning 2019 as amended. He did not get the necessary planning permits that will allow him to do that. He did not have the prerequisite authorization to commence construction on the site." Speaking on the measures to prevent building collapse, he said, "We will continue to talk to developers and enforce the law." 6 persons were in the building when it came down. With combined efforts, 2 bodies were recovered and taken to the mortuary. And now moving on, ahead of the September 28th commencement of campaigns, chairmen of at least 3 of the political parties are enmeshed in one conflict or the other. Their fresh effort to ensure that the national chairman of the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC), People's Democratic Party (PDP), and African Democratic Congress (ADC) do not lead the party's quest to produce President Muhammadu Buhari's successor. The dust raised by the decision of the APC to settle for a Muslim presidential ticket are yet to settle as they applaud to get the national chairman, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, out of the way for a Christian to lead the party. In the PDP, supporters of Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike are insisting on resignation of National Chairman Senator Iochia Ayu as one of the conditions to back the party's presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. While in the ADC, there is a pitched battle for the soul of the party between forces loyal to the National Chairman, Chief Ralph Okey-Nwosu, and the presidential candidate Mr. Dubem Kwachuku, and the developments are hurting all composition of the campaign council of the 3 parties. This came as fresh facts on the reason the parley of presidential aspirants of the APC, scheduled for last Wednesday, was botched. Away from Nigeria, Mali's coup leader and the leader of Burkina Faso's military junta met on Saturday in Malian capital Bamako to discuss bilateral cooperation. Colonel Assimi Goita welcomed visiting Burkina leader Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Santiago de Miba. The visit coincided with the release of 3 Ivorian female soldiers, part of a group of 49 Ivorian military detained in Mali since July. Today, we have conducted a friendly visit to Mali in the framework of cooperation that exists between Burkina Faso and Mali. And it was also a good time for us, since we're in periods of transition, to come meet the Malian authorities to share and exchange on the challenges which confront the Malian transitional government, and also on the side of Burkina Faso. We agreed to better examine and reinforce the military partnership that exists between us to overcome the security challenges that confront our population in the coming days, said Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Santiago de Miba, interim president of the Burkina Faso. Meanwhile, at least 19 civilians were killed in an attack by radical Shabab Islamists on a road in central Somalia. According to local officials and clan leaders, at least 8 passengers minibuses and truck traveling on a road between the towns of Beledweyne and Magzas were intercepted, bundled and set on fire, killing their passengers. The attackers are said to have abducted several older people whose fate remains unknown. The attack took place 2 weeks after a spectacular assault by the Al-Qaeda-affiliated Shabab on a hotel in the capital Mogadishu that left at least 21 people dead and 117 injured. In statements, the Shabab extremists announced they had targeted fighters from a local sub-clan. In August, security forces and local fighters announced they had recaptured several villages previously under Al-Shabaab control. Somalia's president has confirmed the despicable act on innocent civilians. Hassan Sheikh Mohammed, who has been facing a resurgence of extremist activities since his election in May, promised that the government will spare no efforts in the fight against terrorism. Still on the African scene, Togolese authorities have announced the release of 3 Ivorian female soldiers detained in Mali since July. The 3 soldiers were released on humanitarian grounds and are part of a group of 49 Ivorian soldiers detained in Bamako since July 10th. Now, Togo has been mediating the crisis between Mali and Cote d'Ivoire. Discussions are now focused on the release of the remaining 46 soldiers, and according to Malian authorities, the Ivorian soldiers are accused of being mercenaries, while Ivorian authorities claim they were on a mission to support the UN forces in Mali. Ivorian authorities have promised to follow Malian and UN rules relative to the development of the military forces in the country. Mali has also accused Abidjan of inciting West African countries to adding sanctions against Malian soldiers behind two coups since 2020. We go on a short break now, and when we come back, it's updates making the rounds on the foreign scene. Stay with me. And now up next are top stories from the foreign scene. Welcome back. On to the sports scene. Michael Arteta and Martin Odegaard criticized the decision to disallow Gabriel Martinelli's goal in Arsenal's defeat at Manchester United. But Roy Keane says he's fed up with their excuses. Arsenal thought they had taken a 12-minute lead when Martinelli finished superbly after being played through by Bukayo Saka after Christian Eriksen has been robbed of possession of Odegaard. But the goal was disallowed after Vali Marcin advised referee Paul Tierney to check the pitchside monitor, where he pulled Eriksen has been fouled by Arsenal captain in the build-up. The Gunners went on to lose 3-1 at Old Trafford as a 100% start to the season was ended. But Arsenal boss Arteta says the Martinelli decision was difficult to accept. And finally, referee's body, PGMOL, has acknowledged the VAR incident at Chelsea and Newcastle on Saturday as mistakes after the Premier League asked the officiating board to investigate them. Saturday's Premier League action was marred by a series of decisions that were either overturned thanks to the intervention of VAR or not given despite the presence of the review system, which infuriated managers of multiple teams who were unable to contain their feeling post-match. After the Premier League called for an investigation into the circumstances around key decisions at Stamford Bridge and St James Park, the PGMOL believes errors were made in the incident that denied West Ham and Newcastle goals. In West London, West Ham were denied a late equaliser when Maxwell Cornet's goal was chalked off after a VAR review judged that Jared Bowen had fouled Chelsea goalkeeper Edouard Mendy in the build-up. Hammers midfielder Declan Rice later called it one of the worst VAR decisions since it came into game. And that concludes the news updates on AFRICUNIA television. Do follow all our social media platforms on Jointum, Pangram the City, Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter in that respective order. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and also link us up on www.africunia.tv. Once again, I am Deborah Ezeh. Bye for now.